Part 2 of Acca Sbl September 2024 Pre-Scene Information Analysis. This is Zeynep Marjan and I help you pass your SBL exam. Swot analysis of Beago. Strengths. They are the second largest TNC in their country. They have established market presence and brand recognition. They had consistent growth in number of customers and rides completed. They have a strong focus on R&D and innovation. They have financial stability. We see from the KPIs they had great revenue growth. And they introduced two new revenue streams in the recent years, micromobility and business services. Their market share is growing. They have a commitment to safety and environmental sustainability according to their website extract. We do not exactly know if actions match the words. We are going to see this through the exhibits in the exam, but for now, commitment seems good. And they have a strong technology platform. Weaknesses. They face competition, and we mentioned in the first part that this is a very competitive market. They are the number 2 player, which is good, but which also means that they face competition from the number 1 player, their main competition, and the emerging TNCs. Zemby, their main competitor, is not just strong in their country, but they operate internationally. So there's a lot of competition here, and this can be a weakness. There can be potential regulation challenges in terms of licensing and industry regulations. They rely heavily on third-party independent contractors, and by this we mean drivers. This is a very important thing to consider because it is not only the drivers that their business model relies on, but it's also the cars of the drivers. They do not own the cars. Just like they don't hire drivers as employees, they also do not have the cars in their balance sheet. They don't own them. So they need drivers both for their workforce driving and for the cars. Following that, we see from the KPIs that driver satisfaction rate is not going good. It's decreasing. So this is not good for them. We do not know the industry average for driver satisfaction, so we don't know if this is a general problem or if this is a company problem for Beago, but it doesn't look good. You will see in the exam, depending on the exhibits, whether this is a company-specific problem or an industry-specific problem. If this is not a common thing in the industry and this is just this company's problem, it will be an even bigger weakness. They also rely on a third-party cloud services provider to deliver their technology platform, which their whole business is built upon. So this can potentially be another weakness. There are potential for safety concerns and negative publicity. We see this in the risk register. There is limited international presence, and by limited, we are given no international presence. There is no mention of international presence in the pre-scene. And we see from the pie chart that their revenue mostly depends on ride-hailing services. So too much dependence on a single source of income, limited diversification of services. Opportunities. They can expand into new markets and regions. For example, they can offer micromobility services in more cities in Bealand. They can look for opportunities in strategic partnerships for customer rentals, for example, where they can partner with other businesses. They can expand internationally. They can leverage their technology for new services, which are mentioned in the pre-scene, like driverless cars, food delivery, and they can increase their focus on sustainability and environmental initiatives. They can enhance customer experience through personalization and customization. They have a lot of real-time data, and we already know that they are doing data analysis. But it is mentioned in the case that it's predictive and it's not prescriptive. they can do more data analysis. Threats. The TNC business depends on disposable income of customers. Basically, their spending levels, their confidence levels to the economy. So economic cycles will affect this type of business. Economic downturns can affect customer spending, and it will be affecting TNC business. Again, competition is increasing from new entrants and existing players. There will be regulation changes, not only with the licensing, like we mentioned in the weaknesses, but especially environmental regulations and safety regulations are expected to increase. And they can be an opportunity or threat depending on how the company will handle them, how the competitors also will handle them. So it can be costly to adjust to these new changes. There can be some compliance risk, but be careful with the exhibits because threats can be turned into opportunities. So evaluate the situation with the information you have. There can be technological disruptions and cyber attacks. There is a lot of information in the pre-scene that makes you think that this type of company is vulnerable to cyber attacks, and they should manage that risk really, really carefully. It will end up not just disrupting the business, but it will bring reputation risk and possibly legal risk, which will eventually create financial consequences. So fuel prices can increase, and this will increase the cost because they are paying a percentage to drivers, and as the drivers have more costs, and they will want a larger percentage. I think the fuel is from drivers, but even if it's different, even in the exhibits, this cost belongs to Beago, still, it's a cost, it's going to increase, and it's not good for business. There are alternative means of transport. So as mentioned in the case study, this is an alternative for public transport. Maybe not for everyone, but public transport is an option. People driving their own cars is an option. Rental cars is an alternative. Taxi cabs, another alternative. So basically, a lot of substitutes here. And depending on their income levels, depending on the economic cycle, and depending on how environmentally conscious the customers are, they can switch to other options. The green customers, if they increase in numbers, if they want a more environmentally friendly solution, ride-hailing is not really environmentally friendly. This is a threat. And also regarding the regulations, not every environmental business, not environment-friendly business. Decreasing car ownership seems at first glance good for business. However, as TNCs do not own the cars, they actually hire drivers with cars. If there are not enough people with cars that can drive in their spare time for TNC businesses, they will have a smaller pool for drivers. And drivers can eventually set up trade unions. Unions are mentioned in the case study. We learned that they set up trade unions in other countries, but not in Bealand yet. And this is not good news for TNCs if they start setting up trade unions.